Please, Oyida, can you help share my slides? I should try from my own end there.
I think you should try because since we are not using Zoom, so I'm not doing automatic recording, and I would like to record this session. So I'm also recording with a tool on my laptop, which does not allow me to
Okay.
move from one tab to the other or do stuff like that. So
Okay,
that's
let me try. Let me share from this end. Please give me a minute.
okay.
So, so can everyone see my screen now? Guess I'm sharing now. Can everyone see my screen, please?
I think there's still we can't really okay, we can see we
Okay.
can see your screen now. So maybe you can just make
Okay.
it single page so we can follow through.
Um, let me see. Is it that tiny?
Yeah, we can see the slides, but is there a way you can make it just a slide per page, a page per something so it would be better?
Let me try to see.
Maybe if you click on the page, maybe you click on it itself.
I guess this is opening like a PDF. That is why.
Oh, I see.
But let's see.
Okay, I think we should just go on because of time.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had a great day. We're supposed to. The session was interrupted the last time we met, but now we are back, and hopefully we could cover everything we want to say. So I'm just gonna be giving like a lot of illustrations. Um, Workplace writing is of course any written communication that helps us do our jobs effectively. It includes you are going to write emails, whether you like it or not. Your boss is going to ask you to write emails. You're going to write reports, whether reports about an assignment you were given or reports about uh, a particular task or about your team members. You're going to write performance reviews, meeting minutes, chat messages, and more. Now, these are just like illustrations. You sent a mail to a colleague, you're going to respond to a WhatsApp message from your supervisor, you're going to take meeting notes, you're going to write task update for your team. All these are examples of workplace writing. Now, there are three things that are important in workplace writing, which I must say. The first thing is professionalism. Whether you're chatting on WhatsApp or you're writing a mail, you want to always carry yourself as a professional. You want people to perceive you as a professional, and you want to, everything you do has to be like you're communicating work-wise, even though outside of work you have a personal relationship with that person. You're not going to do that as far as work, as far as business or organizational communication is concerned. So organizational communication is purely formal. Even though your boss is chatting with you in casual terms, in casual words, you also have to be very careful that you're still formal. You're not. Your boss is still your boss. Your colleagues are still your colleagues. In some organizations, you see them calling you bro. You are not their bro. You cannot use that bro or these words carelessly. You want to communicate in clear terms. So clarity is essential. What you're sending out, is it clear? Does it make sense? Do you pause to think about whatever you're sending out, whether it's email, whether it's a WhatsApp message, whether it's you're writing a report or a memo or a memo. And then the last thing is that your written communication should communicate your confidence. Communicate your confidence in the sense that if you are not confident enough, it's going to show your written communication. Now, there are ways that I just hope you can do exercises. There are ways that you communicate that shows that you're confident but not rude. Okay. Now, confidence is not the same thing as your confidence should not border on rudeness, but there are some ways you compose a particular message or email that shows that you're confident. For instance, maybe you're writing a mail to your boss. You can say something like maybe, dear Mr. Let's say your boss is Francis. Dear Mr. Francis, I hope this mail meets you well. This is so everything you say right from the start to the finish has a lot to do with your confidence. You're not being rude, but you want to communicate, you want to be assertive. That is what I'm looking, that is what I'm looking for. So there is the formality with workplace communication, there is clarity in workplace communication, and there is the assertiveness. Anything that you say must come in strong terms. Let me put it that way. And people have often wondered why good writing matters in workplace. One thing I would say is for most people, it helps build your trust and credibility and how your boss perceives you or how your employer perceives you. Your employer perceives you as someone who is organized, someone who can think clearly, because clear writing is equal to clear thinking. So if you can write very clearly, they believe that you can think very clearly, and they can entrust you with some task that requires creative thinking because they believe that you're more organized. Good writing can help you avoid misunderstandings because you're communicating in clearer terms, can help you build trust and credibility, like I said, can help you influence decisions and drive actions. Some careless writing will not, for instance, even if you're writing on WhatsApp, even if I'm chatting with let me just make an example. Even if I'm chatting with my employer, I ensure that everything, even if it's on WhatsApp, everything is listed. Okay, good evening, sir. Uh, this is the report or whatever. One, so, two, so thing. Then when my boss is replying, my boss replies with that numbers, with those in those numbered items. But if I just communicate and I put everything in paragraphs, for instance, it's going to be a problem because how do you expect my boss to reply? But by organizing my thoughts, and putting it in bullet points, now in numbers, I expect my boss to also respond to me in numbers. All right. It's just this is I can't show like how do I put it now? I can show examples from my chat, but chats with your employer, with your team members, whether on WhatsApp, whether in email communication, should always be organized. And one of the ways you do that is by having like bullet point for some of your itemized things or things that you want people to take actions on. It saves you time for you and your team because you communicate once. It's not like your team is not asking you, please, what does this mean? Or what do you mean in line 4? Or what do you mean in paragraph 5? Or what do you mean in paragraph 6? Look at this example. Please send the report ASAP. Thanks. As much as it's fast, it saves you time. Okay, it is poorly written. All right. Then the professional version has something like, "Hi Bola" or "Hello Bola. Could you kindly send the financial report by 2 p.m.?" And one of the things that I need to say about workplace communication is that you have to be very specific. You're not going to say, could you kindly send the financial report by today? No. What time do you want the person to send it today? What time do you want this to be available? Okay. Then we will need it for the client presentation tomorrow at, or you can also say you will need it for client presentation tomorrow at maybe 7 a.m. Okay. So that the other person at the other end knows that if he fails or if she fails to deliver this particular task, it will affect the presentation tomorrow. So one of the things you do when you're communicating in workplace communication is that you're looking at how this other person perceives your lines, your words, and all of these things. So thank you. And although this uses an exclamation mark, okay, but you don't have to like use exclamation marks always, because it shows that you're shouting as much as it conveys as long as it shows that you're trying to be polite or whatever. Now, types of workplace writing that you're going to deal with. I know the common one is email writing and email communication, and which people use in most organizations. But it also includes reports and proposals. Okay, reports and proposals. You're going to write a report. All right. I think right now I have like 2 or 3 reports pending. You're going to write a proposal if you want to. Maybe you want to embark on a new assignment or on a new task or a new project. You need a proposal for that, and it is detailed and formal. You want to write memos. Memos are internal announcement or updates. Meeting minutes, summary of discussions and decisions, instant messages, chats. It is quick, it is informal. Okay, like instant messages are quick, they are informal, but they are still professional. So even though you're chatting with your boss on WhatsApp, even if you're chatting with your boss on via SMS, as long as it is informal, it still has to be professional. It means that your abbreviations are not allowed. Now, newsletters, opening wide updates. You can send. You have internal newsletters, and we have the ones that you send to uh, people outside. Now we have standard operating procedures, which is step by step guides on how to maybe operate a particular machine, or how to just maybe, especially when you're onboarding a particular when you're onboarding employees in your organization. We have job descriptions and performance reviews, HR and management tools. We have presentations, which are visual communication. Now imagine this: you might send a kickoff email. In that kickoff email, you can create a proposal in it. Then when you come back to chat, you can discuss your progress. Then later you write a final report. Then the final report will be presented as outcomes in a PowerPoint. So what does it mean? I mean, so sometimes some people work, sometimes my work entails that I keep writing and responding to mails, writing and responding to mails, sending tasks to team members and what they have to do. So in a day, my productive work, or what I call productive work, is simply responding to mails and writing mails and delegating tasks. So it means that workplace writing permeates like virtually, especially if you're a leader or you're the team lead or whatever, you would write, and you need to write very clearly. Now, how do you structure your emails? Now we've gone to email etiquette now. Emails are the heartbeat of workplace communication. A poorly written one leads to can lead to miscommunication, or worse, being ignored. Now there is just a structure. It doesn't have to be like we're not saying that you should follow all the structure, but look at this. For every email that you send, there has to be a subject line, like a subject heading, and it has to be clear and straight to the point. What do you want to do? Update needed, project timeline. So there has to be a subject. Then the logical opening is that a polite greeting. You don't just want to send a mail to someone without kind of checking up on how they are doing or something. A polite greeting could be something like hello, Janet, or hi, Janet, depending on what they use in your organization. Then the E is the essential message. Say what you need clearly. Just go straight to the point clearly. And one of the common practices in writing email communication is that you always write in a sentence. Okay, 2 sentences will form your paragraph. Okay, you don't put a lot of sentences, you know in a particular paragraph. So 2 sentences are just enough because you want the person to move to the next point. Then the action required is be specific. After you've sent the mail, what do you want this person to do? Then the last one is respectful close. The common ones are you writing regards, comma. You can say regards, you can say sincerely, you can say best regards, regards sincerely, best regards, you know, then you sign off professionally. So when you say best regards or best wishes, depending on what the content of your mail, or warm regards, depending on the content of your mail, you sign off professionally. Francis Ikuerowo, editor, news round the clock. So it's essential in some cases for you to include your title. So I've talked about professional greetings, hi Janet, not hey. Avoid all caps. It looks like you're shouting, even in your subject. You don't just write in sentence case instead. Okay, writing in capitals, writing your subject heading in capitals simply means you're shouting or it looks like it. Then don't reply or unnecessarily. How to CC? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. When you receive a mail from your team lead or from your employer or from your boss or from your manager, and the mail is sent to let's say 10 people and you're one of them, one of the things you don't do is that you don't reply all. What you do is to reply. There is reply all. So you reply to the specific person that sent the mail, all right, such that you don't reply to everybody that doesn't need the mail in the first place. Now there is CC. CC is just carbon copy. If you're sending a mail to a number of people, all right, you just include their names. Then if you want someone to like also be aware of that mail, then you press carbon copy. Then the blind carbon copy is that you don't want the other person to know that this mail is sent to multiple people. That is why you have the blind carbon copy. You have to proofread your mail before sending. You have to use CC, BCC where necessary, where required and necessary. Use headings. Don't write like you're writing an essay. Yes, this is one of the things I need to say. If you're writing a proposal, you're writing a team report, you're writing a performance review, or you're writing a job description or whatever, always use headings. You have headings, you have subheadings, you have subheadings. All right. It makes your writing organized. Okay, it makes it look decent when the person is reading it, and the person can easily gloss through the most important point. And you can also put some lines in bold to show that okay, this is what um, you're emphasizing a particular point. Then you put it in bold. And the last one is you follow company's tradition set by the boss or by your employer. In some organizations, they don't use dear. In some organizations, they use dear. So it depends on what your employer, what is the organizational culture or whatever. In some organizations, they use hi. In some organizations, they use hello. In my organizations, we often use hi or hello. Most times it's just hi. All right. But if I'm writing to the boss, I use hello, or I use dear sometimes. All right. So you have to follow your organization culture. There's an example of a bad mail here which says, hey, I need that thing we talked about ASAP. We talked about send ASAP. Then the other one says, it has a subject, request for marketing deck. Hi, Chidi. Could you please send the marketing deck we discussed today during today's meeting? But the problem about this mail is that it is not specific because it does not tell the other person when the person should send the mail. So one of the things you won't need to do is that okay, I will call this time stamp. So always put a time stamp when you're writing your mail or when you're communicating. What time do you want this person to deliver this? What time do you want this person to submit this or to respond to this? All right, thanks so much. Best, Tolu. You can have hello Chidi, dear Mr. James, dear Miss Ruth, etc. I hope you are doing well. I hope this email finds you well. Trust this email finds you well. So there are various ways of writing it. And if you're signing out, I've talked about that earlier. Best regards, kindest regards, warmest regards, then include your titles where necessary. So if you're writing a report, they are more formal and structured than emails. Okay. Reports basically provide information or analysis. Okay, you've gone out on the field. You've gone out on the field, so you're writing a report of how the thing went, your field trip went. You've done a particular task, then you're possibly maybe analyzing the process, or maybe you've spent a particular amount of money, then you're giving analysis or the breakdown. So basically, you must have a title. You should have a title. You should have the summary of the report, introduction, findings, conclusions, and recommendation. It's like more like you're writing like a thesis in at the university level. So you have a title, you have a summary of everything, what the report is all about. You have an introduction, then you have your findings, then you have your conclusions, you have your recommendations. It is best to follow this format when you're writing your report. Then for proposals are, proposals are like you're pitching to a particular person, to like the organization. You're like pitching. So you can suggest solutions. You suggest solutions or actions. So basically, you want your boss to take a particular course of action. Then what do? You include the background. Okay, why is this important? Why am I sending this proposal? Proposals are pitches. Let me quickly say this. Then the objectives, what are we going to achieve? Then the method, how do we achieve it? Then the cost and the benefits. For your memos, these are just used for internal updates and instructions. They are brief, they are direct, and often they are just one page. Okay. You can write a memo about a meeting that is going to take place next week. You can write a memo about, say, employees need to submit their details wherever on the dashboard or whatever. That is a memo. You can write a memo about contribution or about payment that is delayed and why the payment is delayed. So it's just brief, direct, and straight to the point, and usually within the organization. Now, there is a scenario here which says you want to convince management to adopt a new tool. The wrong format is you don't go to WhatsApp and just like type that message. The right format is to write a well-structured proposal, then outline the benefit, cost, and time saved. And like I said, proposals are pitches. If you want to pitch to an organization, you have to convince them why they should take a particular course of action, and why this particular course of action is beneficial to the organization, maybe in few months or in the long run. So they are like pitches. If you're not giving the organizations the cost and the benefits, then there is nothing you're doing in proposals. It can't work, or it doesn't even work that way. Now for meetings they are not like the entire transcripts. They are just like the bullet points of what happens, the most important points. They are like the summaries or the most important points. You're not writing every random thing. So the key element of a meeting, if you've worked as a secretary anywhere, it should one is it should have a date and time, then it should have a list of attendance, then the agenda items to be discussed should also have to be there, then the decisions made, then the action points and deadlines. These are very important. Your date and time must be specified. There should be a list for attendance, the agenda items, whatever you want to the agenda items or whatever they discussed. Before a meeting, there's always an agenda, right? So the agenda item discussed, you have to put like each of them under each agenda. Now the decisions made also have to be there. You have to like specify that, okay, these are the decisions made. Then the action points and deadlines that at the end of the meeting, we want this particular person to take this course of action, to submit this report. A report to be submitted by, say, James by 12 p.m. tomorrow. That's an action point. That's an action point. Then the deadline is what? 12 p.m. tomorrow. Then the second one is, so at the end of the meeting, you send the minutes to everybody so that they are all aware that, okay, James, you're supposed to submit a report by 12 p.m. Gabriel to check up on whatever, checking up on a particular staff, that's the action point. then give your report by maybe let's say 5 p.m. the following day. So you have all of these. These are just the key elements of a minute of a meeting minute. Now the best practices is that you write in bullet points for your your meeting minutes. You are objective and concise. You're just straight to the point, and you have to send your minutes within 24 hours so that everybody will have to be abreast of. Using bullet points means that it makes people to easily trace what they want, what you want them to do, or what the actual point or the deadlines are, instead of just writing in paragraphs. Minutes are not written in paragraphs. I mean, the ones that I know, the ones that I've written, because when you write in bullet points, you just give them the points so that they can easily go right to the point. Now, relatable examples like this. Instead of writing, we talked a lot about marketing and agreed on some changes. Write agenda, quarter 2 marketing strategy. What do? We reviewed current metrics. All right. You can also put like a hyphen and say what were the current metrics before. Decided to increase social media budget by 12%. By, you can also see add more. This is just like an example. By 20%. Then the action is Bola is to present new plan by 25 by May 25. Then the chat messages and it's okay. That is all for your meeting. Then chat messages and instant communication etiquette. So we have the popular tools we use are WhatsApp, Slack, and Teams. WhatsApp, Slack, and Teams. If your organization use Slack, get abreast with the features on Slack. If your organization uses Microsoft Teams, get abreast with that. Then also the same thing for WhatsApp. WhatsApp is like the most common. Keep your messages clear and brief, especially on WhatsApp. Nobody wants to read. If you want to write an essay or write any report, go to your mail and write it. Then come back to WhatsApp and say, "Hello, sir. I just dropped a report of blah 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 blah." Then you tell your boss or your employee or your employer or your team leader. But don't write so bulky. People don't want to read uh, mails on WhatsApp. You can also still use bullet points and itemize on WhatsApp as long as they are very very short. You also need to greet. Now this is one of the things I noticed in some people that that I've worked with. Greet, even if you're sending something, don't assume that you just drop that thing in the person's DM or whatever. Greet, hello sir, good morning sir, trust you're doing well. You still employ the same format you use for your email too. You have to greet. Use emojis slightly and appropriately. Except your boss uses emoji with you, don't use it. Okay, don't use emojis like ha ha ha. Your boss is not your dear friend and whatever. Okay, they also need to confirm receipt or action. If the person has not replied for like let's say like 5, 6, 7, 12 hours, don't assume that it's WhatsApp that the person must have seen it. No, it's not like that. Some people turn on their read receipts, and that is also a problem. For me, my read receipts are off. Okay, but it is good to check up like it is good to confirm receipt or action. All right. Have you seen this? Or I was just wondering if you had checked this, something like that. I think there was a time I was working with. I'm still working with the person, so I sent a review, and after like a day, the person has not replied. After like 2 days, the person has not replied, and I just assumed that the person has seen the message and has not replied. So I think the following day, I just had to like decide to send a message to the person, and the person said, "Oh, why didn't you remind me?" All right, and I was wondering in my head, was I supposed to remind you? Okay, but then the truth is that I was supposed to remind him. I was supposed to confirm if he has seen it. It doesn't. It really cost me anything. Have you seen this, sir? Have you checked this? So I was wondering if you had checked this. So in WhatsApp messages, you don't assume that this person is always online or the message has delivered twice and the person has seen it. No, always confirm receipts. Then don't be too casual. You're free now. Don't do that. Don't overload with long messages. I've said that. And don't discuss sensitive topics. Don't discuss sensitive topics, whether through voice notes or through chats. Don't, because your chats are forever marked. Don't discuss your boss's whatever, your boss's uh, whatever relates to your organization. You don't discuss it on WhatsApp. Okay, you don't have it in chats. because people can easily screen grab this and save it forever. And for people that use disappearing messages, please try to, if the other person is using it and you want to keep a copy of the chat, try to turn off the disappearing messages so that you can, you know, so that you'll be exonerated if anything comes up. Now, for wrong, it is wrong to just write updates, even if it is on WhatsApp. So, hi, James, quick checking. Any update on the proposal draft? You just want to stay aligned, something like that. Thanks. Now, standard operating procedures, okay, writing SOPs, job descriptions, and standard operating procedures. I would have to like run a bit. Step by step guides for completing tasks. That is your standard operating procedure. It is clear, it is logical order with headings or numbers. It includes tools required, timelines, and who is responsible. Now, one of the things I want to say for standard operating procedures is that um, write in such a way that you're taking the person through a series of stories. Let me put it that way. All right. So there's a logical order to it. You're saying that if the person does this, so it should bring out this for the person. And the person should do this after the person has received this. So there has to be a clear logical order. Then with headings or numbers. I'm going to tell you that if you click this, it's going to return this. Right? That's the first thing. Second thing is, and you can always do this by having a bullet point. So if you want to tell someone that how do you work around your WordPress? Okay, the first step, maybe you write it on top, log in with the username and password created for you. 2, after logging in, change your password to your desired password. Full stop. Note, it is essential to change your password upon logging in. Sometimes in standard operating procedures, you have to like reconfirm if the person, you have to like tell the person you have to do this. Like sometimes you have to restate something that you stated earlier. Otherwise, you don't just assume that the person understands and you move on. No. Include the tools required. Sometimes you have to tell the person this, if this does not work on Microsoft, say, this can only be downloaded from Microsoft Store, or this. Or if this doesn't work on Google Chrome, use Mozilla Firefox. If Zoom doesn't work on your phone, try using it on your tablet or laptop. So you have to specify, you have to include the tools required to complete a particular task. That's why standard operating procedures. You have to include the timelines. Okay, do this within the next 24 hours or do this within the next 48 hours. You have to include who is responsible. Now, doing this within the 48 hours, after 12 hours or after like 24 hours, you can still send a message to say, to ask the person if the person has done it, because you don't just wait for 48 hours and you assume that, oh, this person should know that this person has 24 or 48 hours to complete this task. It is a responsibility to ensure that the person properly complete the task. If you're a team leader, the onus lies on you, and the fault is you're going to assume the responsibility if the person does not complete it. So you need to check in on the person and check back again or whatever. Now, job descriptions. In job descriptions, if you're on an HR, you're of course you're also dealing with writing. Your job description should define the roles clearly, not vague, not ambiguous. It has to be clear. If you are looking for a social media manager, tell them you're looking for a social media manager. It's not you're not looking for a video editor. You can just say maybe a plus. If a social media manager can edit or whatever, a social media manager can design whatever. But you have to define the roles clearly, basically. So don't put the role of a video editor in a social media management role. Even if your boss wants you to do that, you just have to tread with caution. Include responsibilities, include the qualifications required and the reporting lines. Who are you going to report to? Okay. If you are if I'm employed as an editor of this organization, you are reporting to our chief editor. If I'm going to employ you as a as a content writer of this organization, you're reporting to our news editor, something like that. Then for performance reviews, when you're writing the performance reviews, and if you're managing a team, this is for people managing a team. If you're managing a team, you will be asked to write a performance review. Now, one thing in performance review is that you have to write a balanced feedback. Give the person strength. That is the first thing. The person's strength should come forward, should come first, rather. The person's strength. You're not going to start with something poor or bad. It's going to demoralize the person. So you start with something great about the person. All right. Then the second thing is indicate the person's areas of for growth. Okay. This is you've stated that in the past 3 months of being on probation, you met your targets, which was quite impressive and all of that. You wrote two news. You conducted two interviews with two renowned or prominent two personalities or two prominent persons, something like that. Then, however, these are areas that you need to improve on. These are areas I would suggest you look forward to improving on in the next 3 months. Then you now itemize it. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Then the goals. This is essential because it's going to. You have to also tell the person that if the person is improving these three areas, all right, what is the benefit? Okay, basically, what is the benefit for the person in the long run? And you have to be specific, not vague. Needs better time management. That is not correct. The specificity is what missed 3 project deadlines in quarter 1. Okay, good. That's for performance report. Then poor job description. We need someone who can do everything. Of course, nobody's gonna pull this out. But good job description means you're looking for a communications officer with 3 years experience in content creation, media management, and analytics. That is straight to the point. Now, if you're writing for presentations are not just about writing slides. They are about your message. You want to communicate very clearly. One idea per slide. Use bullet points, not long paragraphs, just like you have here. It's just like I'm not using my laptop. That's why you have it like this. One idea per slide. Use bullet points, not long paragraphs. Include visuals or charts to explain data, especially if you're presenting complex information that requires data, or that requires, if you're pitching to any organization, of course, you need visuals and charts to explain your data, and it makes it inviting. Use consistent fonts and colors. If you're using blue, stick to blue. If you're using green, stick to green, but don't use blue and green at the same time. Don't use blue, green, and yellow at the same time. Then you have to also practice your delivery, then manage your time within that time space allotted to you. What is a bad slide? A bad slide is a dense paragraph in font size 8. The better slide is quarter 2 growth drivers, increased online campaigns, new pricing models, partnership with S Limited, graph showing 25% revenue increase. Then let's quickly go to digital writing and content creation, and everybody is now content creation. But then the main thing I would say is any content you're putting out on social media has to be engaging, has to be informative, and has to be adaptable. Adaptable in the sense that there are content specifically meant for blogs or websites. There are content specifically meant for social media updates. There are content specifically meant for email newsletters, for web copies, and for digital ads. Engaging in the sense that people need to respond to it. You need to like put yourself in the mind or in the minds of your audience and how they are going to respond to um what you're sending out. Informative mean in the sense that it needs to contain like new piece of information or new pieces of information that you're passing across. Look at blog posts, for instance. If you're a content creator, one of the things you need is clear, SEO friendly, and attention grabbing headline. Attention grabbing headline is not the same thing as clickbait. Okay, your headline has to just be captivating, or has to make people click. But then you have to also be careful that you're not doing this clickbait content writing and say maybe Adekunle divorces or cheats his wife, something like that. There are people are wondering, is it Adekunle Gold or the other or something like that? Okay, so that is clickbait. You're not doing that, but it has to just be attention grabbing. Or maybe if you're writing first, um, five best ways to have five best ways to have a minimalist debt-free wedding in Nigeria. That is attention grabbing, because people want to know, okay, can I actually have a minimalist wedding? Yes. So then SEO friendly in the sense that people are looking at that. People are searching for how do I have a minimalist wedding? How do I have a debt-free wedding? And all of these things. Your introduction should hook the reader. Okay, hook the reader in the sense that maybe when you're writing the introduction, you do not. If I tell you that you do not have to spend so much or break a bank before you can have a what's it called, a very beautiful wedding, something like that. The body has to be valuable and well organized information. Valuable in the sense that you're providing new pieces of information. You're not just recycling whatever is out there on the internet. Then the conclusion is summarized and add a call to action. Add a call to action in the sense that what do you want the person to do? If you're a marketing person, you want the person to maybe buy your book, you want the person to maybe buy the product or something like that. There has to be a clear call to action. The best practices in blog posts is I use keywords for search engines, break up text with subheadings and bullet points. It helps rank, you know, it helps the article to rank. Add images or infographics, even within the content, add images. Then you also need to link to other content. All right. It makes you link to an authoritative site. For your social media post, make it short and catchy. Use hashtags and emojis strategically. Include visuals, images, GIFs, and videos. Now, these days, trust me, people uh, want short videos and images. We are to read text is a problem now. I mean, I was discussing with my boss, and he was talking about the attention span. The attention span now it's extremely low. People no longer want to read long text, and people no longer want to watch long videos. So whatever you want to say within a minute, 2 minutes, and get that's for social media, and you know, and just get it done and just get it over with. Don't record. I mean, comment. What's it called? Skits now should also be like. I don't watch, except I'm like a loyal fan. I don't watch a skit that is like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It should make me laugh within 3, 4 minutes or 5 minutes, something like that. So if you're looking at creating content, even on Facebook, even on Instagram, use a lot of images and videos and make it short and straight to the point. Then you can use questions and polls and tags to encourage interaction. Using tags basically help to, some people use tags to discover some audience, some readers or some viewers or some social media users use tags to discover other people's posts. Now, for you, of course, you know that different platforms have like different ways of um, their own different peculiarities. For Instagram, it's usually visual storytelling. You use stories and reels. Your stories and reels, like I said, should not be more than 1, 2 minutes, because if you're doing something for 3, 4 minutes and nobody knows where you're going to, everybody's just going to be bored. Your Twitter is just real time updates, short opinions and threads. Just short opinions. This is like this. This is like that. Then you have threads. For Facebook, we have community posts, then longer captions. On Facebook, you can write more because it's like a traditional website of a thing. People still read it. Then your LinkedIn should communicate your professional tone and thought leadership. What about email newsletters? Your email newsletter is either to nurture relationships with your readers or your customers over time. The subject line has to be strong and clickable. Then you can personalize if possible. Personalize mean that um, if you're sending to a lot of people, I don't know the email marketing platform that you use. There is one that personalized means that if I'm Francis Ikuerowo and there's James Gabriel, you have to personalize and say, "Dear Francis." Then there's another email that says, Dear James. There's another email that says, Dear Ruth. So it feels like you're sending to just one person. That is personalizing it if possible. Don't just write, Dear buyers or whatever. The body has to be informative, brief, and relevant. Again, for your email newsletters, go straight to the point. Then call to action. Click on next step. Click next step, read more, and join now. Tips. Keep your paragraphs um, short, use bullet points, then add visuals, banners, or buttons, and make it more buyer friendly. There are some common tools you use. The popular ones are Substack and MailChimp. So I use MailChimp and I use Substack. These are the two popular ones. You can try ConvertKit if that works for you, great. Then writing for all digital formats. You have to know your audience, understand their needs, their language and habits. You have to be clear and concise. Digital reader scheme, make your point quickly, like I said. Then stay on brand, keep your tone and your style consistent. Use visuals, pictures, icons, and graphs to enhance readability. Then edit ruthlessly. Avoid typos, avoid clutter, avoid fluff. What it means is that always check whatever you want to put out there, whether it's emails, you're writing for Facebook, you're writing for Instagram, always check. That is what I mean by edit ruthlessly. Then tools for content creation. There are some tools that I've outlined here. For writing and editing, you need Grammarly. You can download Grammarly on your phone and you can have it installed as an extension on your your laptop. So when you're working on Chrome, it automatically corrects your errors. For simple design, you need Canva, and for Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro or whatever. There's like if you want to be like an professional graphic designers, but you just need Canva to for your content creation. For scheduling and analytics, you need your buffer, you need your Hootsuite, then your email marketing, like I said. Now, writer's block, and how do you deal with that? If you are the type that suffers from writer's block, one of the things I will encourage you to do is use a content calendar for every day. What do you want to post? For every day of the week, what do you want to post? So use a content calendar. Um, Low engagement, check the time of posting. Check the time of posting. Basically, when you post in the morning, people tend to read. Okay, then you discover that you have more readership in the morning. Then towards evening, let's say 8, 9, 10, people have more readership. So you have to test the time of posting, then test the headlines. Which of these headlines do people click more? Which of these headlines do people not click more? The time constraint is to repurpose content across your platforms. Check. Sometimes you need to post the content at the same time. Maybe you post on Facebook, um, you post at the particular time on Facebook, you post at the particular time on Instagram, you post at the particular time on on maybe LinkedIn. So you have to repurpose your content across platforms. Repurpose in the sense that for every platform, since every platform has its own design, so the way you write on Facebook is not the same thing like the way you write on LinkedIn and the time you put it out there. If you lack ideas, then the best way is to you can use AI, you can use ChatGPT to 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 get ideas on content that you have to work with. And you can also curate content from others. You can collaborate. Then if you like, if you suffer like incredible burnout, you can take breaks. This means that you can decide that you can have a content that someone has worked on. I'm checking my time. You can have a content that someone has worked on. So what you do is to find a continuation to that content and work on it. So we do that. Someone also said that I think I read it somewhere that the best content creators are often thieves in the sense that they steal different content. I'm not telling you to plagiarize, okay, but I'm saying that for every content that you have, you can come up with a fresh way of rewriting or a fresh idea and add it to that content. We do not have the time to go over subject verb agreement, but always ensure that you take courses on your usage of commas, your usage of full stop, writing fragmented and run-off sentences, your pronoun references, and all of that. How do you do with proofreading? For proofreading, you can now the word has been made simple. You can use AI to proofread. Tell AI that I've written this code. Please let me check for spellings and correct. You can give it to somebody else to edit for you. You can read aloud. You can take breaks. Then you come back later for it. You can ask a colleague to review, like I said. For what to check when you're proofreading, check your spelling and grammar, check your punctuation and capitalization, and most importantly, check the person's name that you're writing to, especially when you're writing an email to a new person. People like that you write their names correctly. So always check that. Check your sentence structure and clarity. Check your consistent formatting. The font you're using, the spacing you're using, and the bullet points you're using must be even. Okay, it's not that you're using font 14 here, then you're using font 12 here, and all of that. No, everything has to be consistent, and even the spacing. Check for proper names, like I said. Check for numbers and check for dates. And for your tone, does it match the purpose and the audience? If you're sending to someone outside of your organization, what is the caliber of the people? What is the level of the people? Are these people in higher authorities and all of that? How do I communicate to these people in such a way that it's a win-win for both of us? It's not like a person say, "Oh, you don't know how to say," or "You shouldn't have said this," or "You shouldn't have written this in your mail." Now, for proofread the following sentence. We do not have the time to do the exercise, but there's a difference here. The first sentence read, the meeting with HR and finance was held on Monday. Monday is not capitalized. M is not capitalized in Monday. The first letter is not written in capital letters. Then everything, the punctuations and everything are just missing. Then no one have shared the agenda yet. It's wrong because it was supposed to be, but no one has shared the agenda yet. So check your now, if you even though you don't know how to write well, you could just copy whatever you've written and ask AI, the popular one, ChatGPT, to edit for you. You can do that if you know that your grammar is not strong. Then you can also ask the guy, the very ChatGPT guy and GPT guy, and say, and type a prompt like, you've corrected this error. Why is it like this? So the guy can explain to you that, okay, if you have no one, it should be followed by a singular subject. If you have a sentence, it should end with full stop and all of that. If you have if you're writing 12th June, you should write it like this, write it like that. For persuasive writing and storytelling, there are core elements of persuasive writing. One thing is clear purpose. Know what you want your reader to do or believe. Example, do you want your reader to support a project? Do you want your reader to approve a budget? Do you want your reader to adopt or your audience to adopt an idea? Do you want your boss to approve a particular payment? Whatever you have to do for persuasive writing, there has to be a clear purpose for that. Then there is audience awareness.
Francis, I
Tailor
think
your
we
language.
have just 3 minutes before the end of this meeting.
I think I'm almost done with it.
Just
So
can
for
just round up
your
in 1 minute.
okay, persuasive writing, we have audience awareness, which is tailor your language, your tone, your examples to suit your reader's background. As I think I said that earlier. Then strong structure, start with a strong hook, explain your point, and back it up with fact or benefit, and end with a clear call to action. Use facts and not emotion. Use facts and not emotion. It's like you're convincing this person to take a particular course of action. So how do you do all of these things? For where to use these skills, use it in proposals, of course, in pitches, in project updates, in performance reviews, in okay, that's for a simple storytelling structure. A simple storytelling structure takes this format: your problem, your action, and the result. Problem is what challenge was faced, action is what steps were taken, then result was what changed and what doesn't matter. So you use all of this when you're writing your proposals, when you're writing your project update, your blog post, your fundraising messages, emails requesting support or approval, and team motivation messages. So basically, I will stop here and take any question if possible. Thank you so much.
I don't think we can take questions. We have just 2 minutes. But thank you so much everyone for joining. If you have any questions, but just put it on the group you are in and then it will be directed to him. And also if you registered for this, the email will be shared. His email the slides will be shared. I already shared the slides on the Skilled for Now community group. So you can go through it. And if you have any questions, just search for him on social media, Francis Ikuerowo, and you can ask your questions because this thing is ending now. So thank you so much everyone for joining the second Post-Bootcamp Support Session. I thank you, Francis, for making it despite the
Yeah,
network
thank you so
issues
much,
and
Mr.
device issues.
Francis.
Yes, so
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you
So
very
exciting.
much. This is so
Thank you so much for
insightful.
having me.
I don't know why this whole program is all about communication, communication, communication. In fact, it's amazing and I love it.
Yeah, thank you, Messiah, for your comment. So if you have a question, please just message Francis. Find him on social media and message him.
All right. All right.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so much.
teaching. Good night. Thank you.
Yeah, good night.
Hi, Chido. Eh? Eh?